In our Friday autopsy, we issued a diagnosis for Elkhart, Indiana, critical condition. We looked at the massive voids where empires like Miles and Conn once stood. But to truly understand why a city's vital signs began to flatline, you have to look at the anchors that finally gave way, the severed veins that once pumped life into the residential grid. Today, we're back on the west side, standing at the gates of a 220,000 square foot giant that defined this neighborhood for 70 years. This isn't just an empty building, it's a case study in how global consolidation can erase a local legacy. This is the story of 1255 Oak Street, rise and fall of Elkhart Products Corporation, and the anatomy of an industrial departure that changed this city forever. To understand how a city enters critical condition, you have to look at the sites where the industrial heartbeat finally skipped. And here at 1255 Oak Street, the pulse once ran hot. This 220,000 square foot campus serves as one of the primary circulatory systems of Elkhart's west side for more than 7 decades. This was the flagship of EPC. Before EPC arrived, this parcel sat within a growing west side industrial corridor. In the early 20th century, the land was used by small machine shops, storage warehouses, and rail-served supply buildings. Nothing here operated at major scale, but the infrastructure was in place: rail access, industrial zoning, and proximity to Beardsley manufacturing grid, and it was a site waiting for a heavyweight. The heavyweight arrived in the early 1940s. EPC's modern identity took shape in 1943 under the leadership of Harold Espig, who positioned the company to capitalize on post-war construction boom. The real transformation of this site came in the late 1950s when EPC acquired specialized machinery from the Chase Brass and Copper Company, pivoting the Oak Street operation towards high-volume production of rock copper, solder, joint fittings. The pivot turned EPC into a national force. By the 1960s and 70s, this plant was the beating heart of a global copper fitting empire, and at its peak, the Oak Street facility employed over 500 workers running 3 shifts to keep up with demand from the plumbing, HVAC, and refrigeration industries. The furnaces glowed white hot, forklifts echoed the bays, trucks lined the docks, and copper fittings produced here flowed into homes, factories, and RVs across the country. For the neighborhoods around West Beardsley, EPC wasn't just a factory, it was a stabilizer, a middle-class engine, and a generational employer. But in a world of global manufacturing, even a giant can become a cost center. In 1996, EPC was acquired by the British conglomerate Ameri plc and was later absorbed into the Dutch industrial group Alberts N.V. Under international management, the permanent brick-and-mortar legacy of Elkhart began to look like a liability on a global balance sheet. Production shifted, automation increased, and the logic of global throughput slowly pushed Elkhart out of the equation. The end for 1255 Oak Street arrived in the mid-2010s when the Alberts officially shuttered the Elkhart manufacturing operations, consolidating production into newer facilities in Arkansas and Virginia. By 2016, the furnaces went cold, ending 76 years of continuous manufacturing history. Since the closure, this 18-acre campus has struggled to find a new identity. A few small-scale tenants use portions of the space for warehousing, but a building designed for high output, forging and machining doesn't pivot easily. Today it stands as Pillar 10, a monument to depreciation, a severed industrial vein in the body of Elkhart. The parking lots are empty, the gates are locked, and the loading docks that once moved millions of pounds of copper fittings now sit frozen in time. This is what happens when a pillar is removed from a city already fighting to hold its weight. This is the anatomy of decline, and this is why Elkhart's diagnosis of critical condition isn't just a metaphor, it's a visible, measurable reality. But EPC wasn't the only industrial story unfolding on Elkhart's west side, because just beyond the shadow of that 18-acre giant, another manufacturer was writing a very different chapter, one defined not by collapse, but by endurance. This is the Jessen Manufacturing Company, a precision machining shop founded in 1923 by Mac Jessen, a tool and die craftsman who believed that small specialized manufacturing could thrive even as the industrial world around him grew louder and larger. He opened a modest screw machine operation, producing custom metal components for the region's early industrial boom. Through the 1930s and 1940s, Jessen survived the Great Depression and wartime material shortages by doing what small shops do best, adapting. By the 1950s, as Elkhart's manufacturing ecosystem exploded with RV builders, HVAC suppliers, and metal good producers, Jessen became a quiet but essential supplier, machining the precision parts that kept larger factories running. And while giants like Conn, Miles, and eventually EPC rose, consolidated, and collapsed, Jessen took a different path. It stayed family-run, specialized, and deliberately small. Instead of chasing scale, the company invested in capability, adding a CNC machining and expanding its tooling expertise and maintaining a workforce sized for resilience rather than volume. This strategy allowed Jessen to weather recessions, offshore waves, and howling out of the West Side's industrial grid. Today, more than 100 years after Mac Jessen opened the first shop, Jessen Manufacturing remains one of the last active industrial operations in this corridor. While EPC's furnaces sit cold and its 220,000 square foot campus stands silent, Jessen's machines still turn, its lights still burn, and its workers still produce the kind of precision components that once defined this neighborhood. In a city filled with industrial departures, Jessen stands as a rare survivor, a reminder that not every pillar collapses and not every vein runs dry. Elkhart's story isn't just written in the giants that fell, it's written in the survivors that remain. EPC shows us what happens when a pillar collapses. Jessen shows us what it takes to endure. Together they reveal why a city's diagnosis critical condition isn't a metaphor, it's a measurable reality. If you want the full picture, the complete investigation in Elkhart's rise, collapse, and the forces that pushed it to the edge, the long-form autopsy dropped on Friday. It's titled, Why Elkhart, Indiana is Now in Critical Condition. That episode lies out the entire case file. And now I want to hear from you. If you've worked in these buildings, if your family story runs through these factory floors, or if you've lived this history firsthand, your voice matters. Your memories, your corrections, your photos. They're part of this investigation. So if you haven't already subscribed to going there and doing that, hit the bell so you don't miss the next case file, and share this video with someone who remembers what this neighborhood used to be. Because the only way to understand a city's decline is to listen to the people who've lived it.